Hey everybody, I want to do a quick review on my Kahr CW9 for you. Um, I had a few people ask me about it, and I figured let's make a quick video. I'm not gonna BS you and give you a whole bunch of numbers because you can look that stuff up. It's not an issue. When I'm looking for reviews on a gun, I mainly want to know if I should buy it or not. So, since I don't know what you guys' preferences are, so I'm just going to relate everything to me. So whatever works for me, I'm just going to tell you, and you guys are smart. You can relate that to your own lives. So first thing I want to talk to you about is the purpose of this gun. The CW9 is not a range gun. It's not something you want to take to the range every time you go shooting. It's mainly a self-defense carry gun. That's its main purpose. You don't want to put 500,000 rounds through this thing. The rails on the frame are plastic. You don't want to do that. You do have rails down here which go through the frame. They go through the slide. These rails inside here, which is a unique setup, they are steel and they wrap around. I grabbed the magnet and they do go all the way around. So if that's one thing that you're wondering, those rails definitely are going all the way around. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The next thing I want to talk to you about is reliability. I get asked, is it reliable? I've heard, stories of it jamming or not working. I've heard those stories as well. This particular one, I've had 500 rounds through it. I started carrying it after 100 rounds, and it didn't have any problems. I put 500 rounds through it, and it ran flawlessly. I haven't had a single problem with this guy. Not a single problem while I'm firing. I did have one issue. Reason was the way Kahr has been able to move and get this slide so narrow, which is narrower than an inch, it's 0.9 inches, is they had to move the feed ramp to the side. So the feed ramp isn't exactly centered. It's actually moved to the side, and everything else is moved according to it. Do that. So one issue I ran into, and it's the only issue I've ran into, and it's not really a big deal, is when you are buying rounds for your gun. This particular round is the federal premium ammunition. These are Hydroshocks, 137 grain Hydroshocks. When you're buying ammo for your pistol, you want to make sure that you don't get these. And I'll show you the reason here in a second. Okay, the one on the left has been through the gun. Because that ramp has been moved to the side, instead of the round going straight through, it's going to go in at an angle. Problem with that is it rams in pretty hard. If you look at the left side and the right side of the left bullet, they're crushed compared to this guy. Reason being, I've put this in the magazine twice and I've manually loaded it into the chamber, and it actually crushes the noses of these rounds. Now these rounds have pretty sharp, flat tips, so that type of ammo is not going to work with this gun. Okay, when I fire these, they don't jam, nothing happens, everything's fine. The only issue I have is when I manually try to rack the slide, these get hung up, and also when I'm firing them, this is what they look like. So I'm just worried if I ever have to use it, will the crushed heads or noses of this bullet actually affect its expansion? So that's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm saying don't use these. Um, the ones I would recommend you use are Spear Gold Dots. This gun has the Spear Gold Dots 124 grain plus P's in it. These guys have a round nose instead of that flat. Let's see, where is it? Instead of that flat, sharp head, they have that round nose, which actually feeds much, much, much better. I don't carry my gun cocked and locked. For you new guys, cocked and locked means the striker's all the way back and locked, and there's one round in the chamber. I don't do that. Main reason is, one, I don't want, a mistake sending a round down my leg. Two, I honestly can't imagine a scenario where I don't have enough time to rack one into the chamber. As I'm pulling from the holster, just rack one quickly. I don't see myself not being able to get it cocked and locked in a matter of seconds, less than a second. So, and a lot of times when it comes to self-defense situations, just the presence of a gun, just the thought that you have a gun will deter whoever is messing with you. So you don't even need to have it loaded. So keep that in mind. The next thing I want to talk to you about, as far as reliability, 500 rounds through it, not a problem. The only problem I had was those Federal Hydroshocks, which would get hung up because of that sharp nose. So other than that, no other problems whatsoever. It's been running flawlessly, and I do trust my life with this guy every day, all day. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was accuracy. Now, this is a double action trigger only, okay? The double action trigger is a little bit longer, and it breaks a little bit further back, and it resets a little bit further forward. So with a Glock, when you pull the trigger back, when it breaks back here, it will reset pretty close to that break point. So there's our break. There's a reset. With the Kahr, it breaks back here, and it resets way up here. That is one of the negatives, but it doesn't really matter to me. I'm fine with it just the way it is. That usually makes the follow-up shots a little bit slower because you have to reset much further forward. But it's a very nice trigger. Kahr is, I think, known for their double action triggers. Next time you go to the gun shop, handle one of these and just see how sweet that trigger is. It's a constant weight going all the way back until it breaks. It doesn't get heavier. It's not lighter when you're coming back out. It's the same weight all the time. So it's a very consistent trigger, which I really like. Put that there. So as far as the accuracy part goes, last time I went to the range, I took 3 guns. Oh, sorry. Hit the tripod there for a second. I took 3 guns with me. Let me make sure that there's nothing in the chambers. I've already checked these pre-video, but since we played with the triggers a little bit, just want to double check. I took 3 guns to the range. It was the Kahr CW9, the oh, sorry, actually no, it wasn't the Glock 30. I did take the Glock 30, but I don't have the target for that. I also took the SIG 229 and the XD subcompact 40. Now these two are 40, this is a 9, but oops, almost a dominoes effect right there. So it's, I mean, if you know SIG, this is the SIG. This is at 15 feet, and that's 25 rounds. It's half a box. This is the XD. It shoots a little bit high for me, so I had to start up here and work my way down. The XD shoots a little high for me, but you know, it's still within the palm of my hand. It's within the size of fists, and it's a kill shot. This is the Kahr. Now, this is where that trigger is going to matter. It's just a double action trigger. Compare that to the SIG. Heavier gun, much shorter trigger. Much lighter gun, heavier double action trigger. Now this is single action with the SIG, it's not double action, but that should give you an idea of what we were looking at. Since we have these guns out, let's talk about weight, because that's a huge thing for me. Everybody complains about the 9mm. Oh, the 9mm is too underpowered, it doesn't have enough stopping power, it's not gonna save your life. Honestly, I don't care about any of that. One thing that I kept running into over and over and over again was I would leave the house and I would leave these at home because they're heavy, because they're thick, because they're bulky. And I constantly feel them throughout the day, and that's carrying with a good holster, with Super Tuck holsters. I feel them, they keep pulling my pants down. It's definitely it's an issue, at least for me. Now, if you've been carrying the 30 or a SIG or an XD, great. If you're comfortable carrying it, great. But if you're not, if you find yourself leaving it at home, would you like to have a 45 at home or a 9 on you? Think about that. Would you like to have 40 sitting at home or a 9 on you when you need it? So that's the issue I ran into with these guns, including, you know, the Glock 19, the Glock 17, and the 1911. Too heavy, way too heavy. I keep leaving them at home. So would I rather have a 45 if the proverbial S hits the fan? Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. But if I constantly leave it at home because it's too heavy, too bulky, and that you can tell you're carrying it, I'll take the 9. I'll take the 9 every day. Screw the controversy. I've shot watermelons with the 124 grain plus P's that are in here, and trust me, you do not want to get hit with one of these, even if it's a 9. I don't want to be anywhere in front of the business end of any of these guns. If you're the bad guy, that 9 will mess you up pretty bad. The other thing is, a lot of people say stopping power. When you're carrying a gun, about 90% of the time, just the presence, if you just tell the bad guy you have a gun, and you show them the gun, the threat usually goes away. 90% of the time, it will go away. It's only that 10% of the time where you actually have to use it. And for me, I would rather have the 9 because I'm going to have it on me all the time. Not just, when I'm at home. Yeah, I'll leave the big ones at home. These will be my home defense stuff. Actually, this is my home defense gun. This is a 40, 45, and 40. So, yeah, I mean, really think about it. Would you rather have a 40 sitting at home when you need it, or would you rather have a 9 sitting on you when you need it? So that's really a big factor for me, and it's really one place where the Kahr excels, and it does a really nice job, is its weight. Right here, I have a little kitchen scale. I don't reload, so I don't have a reloading scale. Had to, I'll show you this. Yep, set to pounds, ounces. Okay, let's start with the SIG, because everybody says, oh, I need something really reliable, something with, huge capacity, and I'm going to carry that. That's a SIG 229. The magazine only has 7 rounds in it, not 12. 2 pounds, 6 ounces almost. That is heavy. That is a heavy ass gun. Okay, let's look at the Glock 30. 1 pound, 15.8 ounces. Let's call it 1 pound, 16 ounces. Much better. It's almost a pound lighter. So if it was between the two, I'll probably carry the Glock. Now let's look at the XD. Again, all these guns have only 7 rounds in them. The reason I put 7 rounds in them is because the Kahr only takes 7 rounds, and also I feel pretty comfortable getting myself out of a situation with only 7 rounds. This is in the wild, wild west. I don't want 19 rounds in my mag, so I can shoot my way out of a place. The first instinct, if I do get in trouble, is run. This isn't Hollywood. Unfortunately, some people in this country think they need to be the hero. You don't need to be the hero, guys. Get the hell out of there. Okay, that should be the first thing you do. Let's turn off. There is a heroism syndrome in this country. That's why we have the most deaths among our firefighters. It's because everybody wants to be a hero and be the first one in that building. And guess what? Many of them die. So, a friend of mine who worked for the fire department, he passed away doing his job. So, and they told me he was the first one in the building. And I know him. He just wanted to be a hero. So, 1.13, 1.14 ounces. We'll just round it up. So, lighter than the Glock. A little bit. Not by much. Kahr. Fully loaded. Not +1. If you want to go +1, there's 1.6 ounces. So huge difference. Huge difference. 2.6. 1.6. Almost a pound lighter than the SIG. So there's the weight. So if you want a good, reliable gun, and actually, yeah, let me show you. I carry a fairly cheap holster. It's still $70, $60. It's a Miniature Spartan holster, and I probably won't buy a holster from them ever again because I didn't like the way I was treated last time. But good holster, pretty damn good holster. They sell the Kydex parts and the backing parts separately. I bought two of the backings, and 2 months later, 3 months later, apparently they changed it to Generation 2 backing, which is a different cut. The holes are pretty much the same, except this one is about 1/4 of an inch lower. So if they would have made that a 1/4 of an inch higher, if they would have kept the holes the same as Generation 1, I didn't have to pay another $70 to get this. I could have just bought a $30 Kydex part. And when I contacted them through their customer support, the lady I talked to, she wasn't very helpful. She's like, since I bought it more than a year ago, there's nothing she can do about it. So she would give me a 10% or 15% discount on a new one. I was like, get out of here. So when I carry this in that holster, periodically throughout the day, I actually have to check and make sure it's still on me. It's that comfortable. It's a very, very comfortable gun. So honestly, if I was to recommend this to a family member or to a friend, I would say go for it. If you're thinking about getting a Kahr, go for it. It's not a very aesthetically pleasing gun. It's not something you want to shoot every day. It's just mainly there to save your life. I emailed Kahr to see what the duty cycle is on one of these. I haven't heard back yet. But with the gun show going on, they're probably all out east trying to get set up and get their show going. So they're a little busy right now. But honestly, very, very good gun. The difference between this and the more expensive Kahrs is this has a MIM part, 500 rounds through it, not a problem, no problems yet. The more expensive ones have a polygonal barrel. This has a traditional rifling in it. And that's been serving us well since God knows when. There's nothing wrong with a traditional barrel. This gun was $419 when I bought it. That's really, I was looking at this compared to a Walther. I think it was a PPS or a PPK, sorry. Much better gun, I think. The Walther looks better, but this is pretty nice. Pretty nice. So yeah, I would highly recommend it, and if you are thinking about it, go for it. It's very light. It's been very reliable for me, and it's probably one of the more accurate double action guns I've shot. I mean, that's not bad. 25 rounds. That's pretty good. It's, you know, it's not a SIG. Same distance. That's 50 rounds. It looks like I only put 10 rounds through it, but this is 50 rounds. That's how accurate this damn thing is. Kahr CW9. Highly recommend it. Alright guys, let me know if you have any questions. See ya.